Welcome to the Wildstar Xpadder setup tutorial. My name's Patrick, and I'm going to be taking you through setting up Xpadder to use within Wildstar. The boxes surrounding the title here on this screen will take you to different parts of the video. So if you would like to learn more about just setting up Xpadder, or if you want to skip to learning how the cursor mode works, or if you want to go to the troubleshooting section to be directed to several places to help you fix your setup, you can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and preview the functionality of my setup. Section 1, Preview of Functionality. So here I got my buddy Rhodes, and he's ready to show us kind of what we can do inside of Xpadder. So without further ado, let's go in and bust some skulls. Let me bring up my Xpadder program so you can see what's going on in the bottom right. Let me just drag it down a little bit. There we go. So away we go. Immediately you can see me moving the camera with my right stick, running forward with the left stick, sprinting with the right bumper. Let's go in and attack this guy real quick. Y button left me forward, press it once to bring up the targeting menu, press it again to actually unleash the leap. Left bumper and start, vacuums all the goodies up, and I'm ready to start again. Let's go in and ripsaw them by tapping the X button and slice and dice. Let's kick them down with the left bumper and X. And as you can see, they're all knocked down. Whirlwind with B, and we'll vacuum once more. Look at this guy. He wants a quick meal. I can dodge with the right stick in and pound away with my rampage holding the left trigger. Vacuum all the goodies in. And let's look at some of the other ways we can use the Xpadder that don't involve combat. Alright. If I tap the left stick in, I can set it to auto run. If I hold left bumper and tap left stick, I set walk mode. And here I am auto running with walk mode turned on. Now I can run. Alright. I'll select this person, hold left stick in, and now I have follow mode. I'm going to follow wherever that person goes. A veteran staple of MMO controls there. Alright. I tap the back button to reset my cursor to be able to go back into look mode. The right stick emulates holding down the right mouse button, so camera aim is no big deal. Just move your right stick, and you're automatically in mouse look mode. Let's see, I've done follow. If I hold the left bumper and hold start, I can pull out my weapon. Same thing to put it back. Let's do an auto run again. Right bumper again is sprint. I'm going to show us how we can dive in the water. Well, that's more of a cannonball. But if you're in water, if you hold the right stick down, that's actually down. And of course, jump is to resurface. Left bumper and right stick is to call out your mount. I don't have one quite yet, but it's in there. We've gone over all of my primary limited action set abilities. So the D-pad on the Xpadder is set to various secondary actions, such as gadget abilities for up D, objective abilities for left D, path action 1 for right D. I can even chug a potion by pressing down on the D-pad. Now if I hold the directional buttons, I get a whole new set of actions. If I hold up on the D-pad, I can cycle through my stances as a warrior. If I hold left on the D-pad, then if I was a scientist, it would bring out my scanner bot. If I hold right on the D-pad, then that would execute path action 2, which is useful if you have 2 path quests that require you to use 2 different activated abilities. If I hold down on the D-pad, it would activate my path ability. So if we've covered all the secondary actions, I even have a left button modifier tied to the D-pad that allows you to access the first 3 slots on action bar 2. And since I am a gatherer, I gather wood and ore, I have 2 gathering tools equipped. So I'll hold the left bumper, hold left. That'll equip my ripsaw. You can see right here that it'll change. So this way I'm quickly able to change between gathering weapons, or gathering tools rather. Far as cursor mode goes, if I hold down the back button, It frees up my cursor. Now I'm able to use it, move it around with my right stick. I can go in and bring up my character panel by pressing X, tapping X. I can tap Y for my codex, tap B for my inventory, hold X to bring up my action set builder, hold Y to bring up my lore, hold B to bring up my social panel. I can tap the start button to get rid of it all. The start button acts like the escape button. So it can get rid of windows, it can open up the menu, it can also deselect targets you may have selected. If I hold, still holding the back button, I can also press the right stick in, and that is my communicator keybind. It'll take calls, and it'll allow me to take quests without having to touch the keyboard or click on any icons on the screen. Now if I wanted to zoom my mouse in and out, I just hold back and use the bumpers. Right bumper, left bumper, as you can see there. If I wanted to hide the UI, I would hold the back button inside cursor mode, of course, and hold down the right stick, and that gets rid of the UI. Hold back again, hold right stick again, brings it back. To show my frame rate, I'm just going to hold back and hold start, and there's my frame rate right there. To get rid of it, I'll hold start again, and I do believe that's everything. Here's a quick little demo of talking to a vendor and selling something. So I'll go up to this vendor, I'll press the start button to interact, I'll hold down the back button, I'll left click sell, I'll sell these nice pair of pants to get some money for my mount. I'll sell them by pressing the right trigger for right click. I'll press the start button to escape. I'll release the back button, and I'm back into regular movement mode. So this is a quick little demo of some of the things you can do inside of Xpadder using my profile. Thanks. Section 2, setting up Xpadder. So if you'll look, let me minimize my Xpadder. If you'll look in the comment section, right above the comment section, and go to show more underneath the info for the video, it opens up all kinds of links to different resources I use in the video. So this section we're going to be seeing how we can pull up Xpadder, download it, get it set up, and get all the keybinds ready to go with it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Xpadder Homepage. So I'll click the link, it'll take me to xpadder.com, and if you haven't bought it yet, you're going to need to go to download, pick your language, read the story about the creator, I guess, and then do the nice PayPal dance in the next screen. What that ultimately is going to give you, it's going to give you a login name and a password that you can then use to log into the forums and go to the Xpadder download page. So I'll click it, I'll type in my username and password, return to previous page, and here I am at the download Xpadder thread on the Xpadder forum. I'm going to go to Xpadder version 2014-0101. Recent versions of Xpadder, their version type is denoted by the date it was released. Now a few of you may have Xpadder version 5.7. As you can see, it was released in 2010. Many changes and updates have been made since then. If you're using 5.7, you're not going to be able to use my profile. So please buy the program. It's great. It's only $10, and the developer really deserves the extra change. So we're going to click on version 2014. It'll take us to the thread here, and this link is completely safe. I've used it countless times to download it. So I'll click on it. It'll get sent to my downloads folder, and as you can see, it downloads super quick. I'll get rid of this tab here. I'll open up my downloads folder, and there's my Xpadder application. What we're going to do now is, just for the sake of a video, let's right click on the desktop and create new folder, and let's call this Xpadder. And we're going to just drag and drop my application into this new Xpadder folder. Okay, great. And we'll just tidy this up by placing it in the top corner right there. So let's open Xpadder for the first time. I'll double click Xpadder, hit run. It's already running from somewhere else. Let me close my earlier version. I'll try this again, hit run. And then it doesn't install to your computer. It just is a standalone program, no installs. We'll just click through all the start stuff. Hit English, yes. We're going to press start there. Let's set everything to save at the program location, which is in this folder we just made. and we will associate files. So what you'll see now is the little Xpadder window. It's nice and fresh, and then what we have to do next is we have to load the controller settings, the controller profile, so Xpadder can talk to your Xbox 360 controller. That's what I'm using, and that's what the next section of the video will cover. Thanks. Section 3, loading the controller setup. So last time we just opened up Xpadder for the first time. Let's go back to my YouTube video, and let's go back to the links you'll see below it. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up the controller layout or controller settings right here. We'll just click that there, and it'll take you to a Google document. And what we're going to do is we're going to click at the very top, and we're just going to drag so we can copy and paste all this code. Yeah, it's a lot. All this code. Notice how I'm going to the right now. It's a lot of stuff. So let's make sure we got it all. We might need to select this stuff. We don't want to get the footer, and we don't want to get the header. So let's just go down here. Just make sure we got it all. Alright. And it looks like we do. We're going to right click on it, copy it. Let's minimize my internet browser. We're going to click on the controller here, and we're going to go to paste. Alright. Let's save it now. Let's just save it with the default name it gave us. And you'll see right here it creates a new profile for your controller. Now let's test out some of the buttons. Move your left stick, move your right stick. All your buttons should be lighting up green, and mine so happened to be doing it. If this step of the video is not working for you, here you can click this link. I'll have it highlight up here in the middle of the screen. This is a manual setup I did for Guild Wars. It'll serve the same purpose for our intents in Wildstar. So if you have trouble doing the copy and paste here, take this link right there. Alright, great. So we've saved our new controller. Xpadder is talking to our profile here, and we're ready to go on to the next section, which is loading the Wildstar profile. 4. Loading the Wildstar profile. Alright, so now that we can talk to our Xpadder program with our controller, now we need to fill these empty white boxes with some emulated key presses. Let's go back to our description in our video down below the player, and let's go to Xpadder Wildstar profile right here. Alright, we're going to click it. It goes to another Google Doc I have publicly shared. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to make sure we select every bit of code in here while not selecting the footer or the header. Right click to copy. Let's X out that tab, minimize. This time let's go to this little clipboard icon right here. We'll click it, and we'll go to paste. And if everything works right, you should have all these weird keybinds and these two sets called MMO and MMO UI. These two different sets will enable us to do regular movements and actions, and this set right here will allow us to go into cursor mode. Alright, so if everything kind of looks the same right here, then section 4 is finished. All we have to do now is save it. Let's rename this to Wildstar profile. Notice how it saves it in the folder we created. So everything's nice and neat and tidy together. And that does it for this section. 5. Rebinding in Wildstar. Alright, so we have all these random number pad assignments in our Xpadder. They do not correspond to the default settings in Wildstar. So we have to go and manually type all that stuff in. So I'm going to make sure I can get this Xpadder on top. I'll X out of this Xpadder folder. Let's bring up Wildstar right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Video, and we're going to go to Windowed mode. This is going to allow us to reposition our game. So we can then go to YouTube and bring up the controller legend. Being able to look at both Wildstar and the game will greatly help us when we go through and try to set up everything. So just position it to where you can see all the keybinds, and there we go. So basically what we have to do is we have to now go into key bindings and mix and match the commands in the Wildstar game to this controller legend I have set up. And this is just what I personally use. I believe it to be very, it looks really complicated, and you might think it looks complicated, or you think your setup may look better. This is what I personally feel. There's a section later down the road that explains why I have this laid out the way I do, so if you're interested in comparing notes with your setup to mine, you may want to check that section out. Alright, so let's go ahead and just jump into this. Before I start though, another option to re-keybind may be to print out the printer-friendly controller legend. This is a black and white 8.5 by 11 dimension sheet I created. So if you just want to print this sheet out, if you have a printer at home, you can just widescreen or full screen your Wildstar and just follow off of the printed keybind section right here. But for right now, let's just use the colorful tab I have opened right here. So what we're going to do is follow along. We're both going to restore our defaults. Hit yes. We're both going to start clean. There we go. Alright, so if you can see, if it's not too small, I'm just going to quickly go through this and rebind it. I'm going to try to go sort of fast. I don't want to make the video too long just by doing keybinds. But maybe following along you can see where some of these match up. The legend isn't exactly in the same order as the key bindings in Wildstar. That's because I had to move things around to make sure they all fit into a desktop size image. So let's just go through it right here. Interact is going to be set to start. So actually, how do we keybind this then? Well, I have my controller in my left hand, I have my right hand on my mouse, and I'm just going to click that empty right hand column. This is where we're going to put all of our control keybinds. The left column can be used to still keybind your keyboard. All your keys on the left side of your keyboard will be free. All the controller keybinds are set to the right side of your keyboard. So let's go ahead and click that empty box. You'll notice an orange cursor shows up, and it's saying enter the key you wish to bind for interact. But we're not going to bind the key on the keyboard. We're actually going to press the button on our controller that we want to bind. So with both hands now on my controller, I'm going to press the start button. Just tap it. And what you should see is numpad delete. It is something to note that I'm going to try to do my best to differentiate between tap and hold. Anytime you hear me say tap, that means we're just going to tap the button. Anytime you hear me say hold, make sure you hold it down until it assigns that. Alright, let's keep going. Cast objective ability is right here. So let's click on with our mouse and then press left D-pad on our controller. There we go. Cast innate ability is left bumper A. And from here on I will be using abbreviations for the keys. So LB will be left bumper, R3 would be right click stick in. So just bear with the abbreviations, this is for time's sake. We're going to skip miscellaneous spell. Path action will be right on the D-pad. Path action 2 will be hold right on the D-pad. And notice how this is num 7 and this is alt num 7. This is the difference between tapping and holding. We get two totally different keybinds on essentially the same key on our controller. If we want to toggle our scan by, we'll hold left on the D-pad. If we want to toggle weapons, as seen right here, we'll hold the left bumper and hold the start button. We get Control Alt numpad delete. Let's go down a little bit. Vacuum loot will be set to left bumper start. And then let's go through our limited action set here. Right trigger, left trigger, X, Y on the controller, press B on the controller, and then we're going to set limited action set 6 through 8 to left bumper and then a face button. So LB and X, just tap it. LB and tap Y. LB and tap B. Alright, great. So let's keep on going down. Cast gadget ability will be to tap up on the D-pad. Cast path ability will be to hold down on the D-pad. Great. And like I said, I have a rhyme and reason why I'm setting these buttons to the ones I am. So if you're interested in the explanation, I think section 12 or 13 will kind of go through those reasons. So let's go to action bar 2, slot 1. I like to go to action bar 2 because it's on the bottom right and it doesn't get in the way of my chat box right here. So let's keybind the first 3 slots here. So I'm going to hold, and they're pictured right here. I'm going to hold left bumper and hold left on the D-pad. I'm going to hold left bumper and hold down on the directional pad. I'm going to hold left bumper and hold right on the D-pad. This will give me access to a few more little slots for various things, like my gathering tools and maybe another potion like I have there. And we're just going to keep scrolling down, 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 until we get to stances. So I have cycling set up on the controller, so we can just hold up on the D-pad to cycle through all of our stances. Stalkers, I want you to pay attention here. You're going to have to skip to one of the later chapters, and here's the link right here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. You may need to go there because you have 3 stances and Warriors and Engineers have 2. So you're going to have to go and do a few extra steps to program in that 3rd cycle on the stance switching. So to set my stance 1, I'm going to click it like usual. I'm going to hold up on the D-pad. So it goes to Alt Num Asterisk. So I'm going to go to stance 2, do the same thing, and I'm still going to hold up on the D-pad. But this time, since I've used cycles, it just does numpad asterisk. So that's how we can switch between the 2 stances. And then last but not least, we have Mount and Potion. Mount is going to be left bumper, right stick in. So left bumper, right, click, right stick, just tap it. Potion will be tap down on the numpad, or my bad, the directional pad. Camera functions are already set up into the native Xpadder setup I have. Mouse wheel up and down correspond to your bumper buttons inside your UI mode. So let's just keep going down. Toggle interface and toggle frame rate. These are described right here. So to toggle my interface, I'll hold the back button and hold the right stick in. To toggle frame rate, I'll hold the back button and hold start. Great. Alright. For movement, we're going to leave the shift modifier as shift. Jump is going to be a tap of the A button. Leave all the different movements the way they are, because our arrow keys are set to these. And it doesn't matter if you have it set to turn or strafe. With mouse look mode in, they're going to function the same. Let's go to our directional dash right here. We'll click R3 and set it to numpad subtraction. Dismount will basically not need to be used because pressing the mount and the dismount will get you off your hoverboard in that. And I guess if you're in another vehicle, you can always just click on an icon to get out. Toggle walk will be left bumper, L3 click. Toggle auto run will just be an L3 tap. And move down will be hold R3. And we get a alt numpad subtraction there. So let's finish up some targeting. We're almost done here. To target myself, I'm just going to hold the start button. To target party members 1 through 4, I'm going to hold left bumper, and they correspond to each direction on the D-pad. And the way I've always had it set up is 1 is up on the D-pad, party member 2 is left on the D-pad, party member 3 is right on the D-pad, party member 4 is down on the D-pad. I've had that ordering and set up since my WoW days, healing and tanking as a paladin. So if we want to target our next enemy, we're just going to hold the left bumper down again and click the right trigger. Target my next friend, I'm going to hold the left bumper down one more time and tap the left trigger. To assist the target, I have assist denoted right there. We're going to hold the left bumper once more and hold R3 in. So we get Control Alt numpad subtraction. Alright, so all we gotta do left is just set up the menus. Let's just bang through them real quick. We can see all my menus denoted right here. So character panel will be hold the back button, tap X. Codex will be hold the back button, tap Y. Communicator is hold the back button, let R3, just tap R3. Game menu close window. Escape is already natively programmed into our Xpadder, so let's just leave this box alone. Ghost mode map, we're going to hold the back button and hold A. So we get Alt =, I believe. Inventory is going to be back, hold back, tap B. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Limited action set builder is hold back, hold X. Lore is hold back, hold Y. Social will be hold back, hold B. And our world map is hold back, tap A. And hit accept. And there we have it. All of our keybinds are set up. We're ready to start rocking and rolling. Alright, thank you for listening to this section. The next one will go through and explain movements, targeting, abilities, and what have you. 6. How movement works. Alright, so I got my Xpadder window still open. Let's just quickly go over how movement works inside of our Xpadder. So I'm going to pretend that maybe somebody just skipped this section right ahead, so I'll start fresh real quick. Our movement keys are set to arrow keys on our keyboard. So left stick corresponds to up, down, left, and right arrow keys. Our right stick emulates holding down the right mouse button. And if I go to advanced here, let me just rearrange these windows, we can see the assignment selections I have set up right here. So as you can see, I right click and this up on the stick moves the mouse cursor up, and then these 3 assignments, after I quit moving the cursor up, it still continues to hold down the right mouse click. This effectively mimics movement or mouse look mode. I know there's a few add-ons in there like Deadlock that do this. Well, my Xpadder setup does it automatically, no need to press any extra buttons. Just move the stick and you're holding down the right mouse button at all times. Alright, great. So sprinting is done by holding the right bumper. It really frees up your thumbs to move forward and look around. Alright, so you can steer, sprint, and run at the same time. If you want to dash out of the way, it's just a simple right click on your right stick. Alright, if you want to go to auto run, just tap the L3 button and you'll auto run. Notice how I'm not holding anything on my Xpadder profile except the turn right there, and we're auto running. Tap again to stop. If you want to just walk, hold the left bumper and tap L3, and now we're just taking a leisurely stroll. I can combine this by tapping the L3 button, and now we're just auto walking. Hold the left bumper and tap L3, we're running again. Alright, so it's not a normal function in Wildstar or a normal keybind, but I've actually set holding L3 to do follow. It basically types /follow in your chat window. So if you just hold it, bingo, I immediately go and follow this dive vendor right here. Alright, great. To get out of follow mode, just tap the back button and we can go back into cursor aim or camera aim. Alright, I think I can show dive down real quick. If I hold R3, I can dive down, and I hold jump, of course I surface. Of course the jump button is just A. So having the sprint as R3 means I can aim, jump, and run with relative ease, freeing up my fingers pretty well. I believe that's it. And technically it's not a movement, but if you hold the left bumper and hold start, I can pull out my sword. Alright, great. That does it for this video. Let's look at targeting next. 7. How targeting works. Alright, great. Let's bring up Xpadder again. So, targeting enemies. Let's minimize and bring back Wildstar. Get the frame rate better. So, anytime you want to target an enemy, it's usually going to be done by holding down the left bumper. If we hold down left bumper and use our main attack, which is right trigger, it actually selects a target. Alright, I can hold back and press start to unselect that. I can even cycle through all these targets on screen by holding down left bumper and hitting the right stick. You can see me doing that in the Xpadder profile right here. Alright, if I want to select a friendly unit, let's go here. I'll hold down the left bumper and use my middle finger to hit my left trigger. Let me go find some of these people over here. So I can target that little guy right there. I'll hit my follow button and I can follow him. Press tap back to get into regular mouse look mode. And I can toggle between friendly units on the left bumper. Since I'm not in a party, I can't necessarily demonstrate party targeting. But if you hold the left bumper and tapped up, left, right, and down on the D-pad, you would select all 4 members depending on which D-pad button you pressed. To target yourself, just hold down the start button. And there you go, you've targeted yourself. And I press hold back and press start to deselect. If I wanted to assist a target, I would hold left bumper again and hold right R3. But I don't have anybody selected, so can't can assist. Alright, so that does it for targeting. 8. How abilities work. Alright. So, we've gone through movement and targeting. Let's talk about abilities in Wildstar. Alright. Right trigger is usually what I assign to my spam attack. I just keep tapping it and tapping it and tapping it. Left trigger is my rampage ability. Left bumper and X, I can kick this wolf. And let's just finish him off. Alright. If I tap the Y button, I can do a leap.
Double kill.
And tap the B button, and I'll do my whirlwind. Suck up all this stuff with left bumper and Z, or start. And let's ripsaw this guy. And rinse and repeat. Alright, so that does it for basic abilities. There are ways to spice up the combat and ways you can use Xpadder to get more functionality out of the buttons. You may want to look at section 10 for setting up rapid fire and toggle abilities. That'll come up in a second. Alright, to use secondary actions, we just have them mapped to the D-pad. Up, left, right, down, all have actions. Just refer to the legend here, and you can see what they are. Gadget abilities, objective abilities, path actions, potions, cycling stances, toggling bots, using right action bar. I go through all this stuff kind of in the very first section where I demo some of the functionality of the Xpadder profile. So check out section 10 to get more use out of your abilities inside of Xpadder. 9. How cursor mode and menus work. Alright, so one of the more unique functions that or features I have in my Xpadder profile is my UI mode, or cursor mode, or mouse move mode, whatever you want to call it. Alright, normally when you're venturing in the world, your cursor goes away because my right stick emulates holding down the right mouse button. But anytime you want to use a menu, all you have to do is hold down the back button, and you see that cursor come back. So with your mouse still, or with your left thumb still holding down the back button, I can use my right thumb to move the mouse cursor around. Left trigger will select things, as so, with left click. Right trigger is right click. So if you need to harvest a node, or do any kind of other activities that a right click really needs, you can do it here. Alright, if you want to cancel out selections or bring up your menu, just tap the start button while holding back. That deselects that bool. If I tap it again, it brings up my main menu. Now I have a whole bunch of menus and all kinds of things attached to other face buttons within UI mode. And notice I'm still holding back with my left thumb during this whole section. Alright, so if I tap the X button, I bring up my character sheet. If I tap the B button, I get my inventory right next to it, so I can easily assign different equipment if I wanted to. You can always take your hand off the controller and use the mouse if you'd like. If I tap the Y button, it brings up my codex, which has my quest log, path, challenges, and achievements there. If I hold, and I want to remind you that I'm holding down the back button still with my left thumb, now I'm going to hold down the X button and bring up my action set builder. I'm going to hold down the Y button and bring up my lore. I'm going to hold down the B button and bring up my social pane. I got all these windows up. I need to get rid of them all. Do I have to go through and re-toggle them all? Nope, just simply, as you're holding back with your left thumb, just simply tap the start button, and it'll get rid of all your windows for you. Alright, so as we're holding down the back button, if I tap the A button, it brings up my map real quick. I tap the A button again, it gets rid of it. If I hold the A button, it brings up my ghost map. This allows me to kind of walk around and see the map at the same time. Get out of here, little dog. As you can see, with map ghost mode up, you can still use any kind of functions you want. It's turning into a brawl here. Get him, bull. I'm out of here. I didn't expect to fight during this. This is supposed to be a passive menu demonstration. Oh well. I guess steak is on the menu. Alright, before I was rudely interrupted by those robot animals, get out of here. I'll hold back button and press the A. Two more things we can do are interact and vacuum, but those are really not done using the back button. Those are set to start and left bumper and start respectively. But if I do hold the back button again, I can use my bumpers to zoom in and out. Alright. Let's bring up my Xpadder profile and I'll show you how I'm doing that. So as I hold the back button, you can see me switch into UI mode here. And my bumpers are set to mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down. And they're set to turbo. So as I hold it, you can see how it's going crazy. It's constantly clicking mouse wheel up and down for me. So yeah, just notice how that UI mode goes back and forth down here in our sets. Boom. And I have a whole new set of keybinds here that allow me to bring up menus rather than use attacks. If I wanted to toggle my interface, I would just hold the back button and hold the right stick in, bring it back to do the same thing, and then I can hold start while I'm holding back to bring up my frames per second. A nice smooth 60. Alright, next section we'll go over setting up rapid fire and toggle abilities. 10. Rapid fire and toggle abilities. Alright, so in the combat section I showed you a very basic way just to basically use all of your Xpadder buttons to hit all of your LAS attacks here. But what happens though if you don't like how leap works? Currently, if you just tap the Y button and release, you just do a straight leap. Let's go to combat menu and make sure your button down instead of press twice is deactivated and hold to continue casting is deactivated. Also while you're here, make sure double tap the dash is turned off. So with these two options turned off, it gives us a lot of flexibility to add toggles and our own rapid fire inside of Xpadder. So a problem with leap as it stands, I have to hold down the Y button with my right thumb and I can only move with my left thumb. I can't aim the camera at all because two of my thumbs are already used up. Alright, so how do I fix this? Get out of here. Get away from me, dog. Well, if we go and bring up my Xpadder window, here we go. So that button right there, numpad 3, is what's set to my leap. So let's go ahead and click it, and it brings up our assignment window right here. And all we need to do is just check this little trigger button right here. This is actively, this is actually the toggle mode for this button. What does toggle mode do? Well, I'll demonstrate inside of Xpadder before I do in the game. If I tap the Y button and let go, my thumb is not on the controller pad, but you can see that Xpadder is tricking the computer into thinking I'm holding down my Y button. All I have to do is tap it again, and it will release the Y button. How is that useful inside of Wildstar? Well, we can see here, I'll tap my Y button, and notice now Xpadder holds down the Y button for me. It frees up my right thumb to move my camera as I see fit, and once I line up my attack, all I have to do is just quickly tap Y again, and I got a perfectly aimed up leap. So really useful if you have any kind of abilities that require precise aiming, but you want to use it on a face button on the controller, such as X, Y, or B. Alright. So two more little techniques that we can use. With those two options in the combat menu turned off, if I hold my right trigger, then it only attacks when I release the right trigger. So this basically means I'm going to have to spam the right trigger as if I was shooting a semi-automatic gun or whatnot. Same thing with the left trigger. If you just wanted to attack by holding down the left trigger in this mode, we can simply go to click on the right trigger. We'll click on our Uzi here and turn on rapid fire. To adjust the rate at which rapid fire works, let's go to advanced and let's go to turbo right here. And you can see this little army guy shooting bullets. Of course, if you make it a slow delay, he shoots a lot. If we make it a longer delay, he doesn't shoot quite so often. So that basically just corresponds to how fast it taps the button for you. I like going 0.2 seconds. That's what I've found works best for me. Alright, and we'll save it. We'll do the same thing for left trigger. Just hit left turbo on there, and we'll hit save. Now you can see the Xpadder just constantly is tapping the right trigger for me. And there we go. Same thing for left trigger. So that's how rapid fire and toggle modes inside of Xpadder can add a little bit more comfort to our Xpadder setup. Understanding tap versus hold button presses. Alright, so far in the setup, you've seen me say tap this button, then hold this button, and it gives you two different results. What the heck's going on? What does that even mean? Here's this behind the scenes peek at how you can understand what's going on with the tap and how you can adjust your own times to customize what fits best for you. Alright, so before that, let's go ahead and open up directional pad right, and we'll go to advanced. And you see these long string of commands right here? This actually is the macro, I guess you could say, that says, okay, for this so many seconds, it's just regular numpad 7, and for this so many milliseconds, it's alt plus 7. So tap versus hold. So how do you make sense of this? What do these buttons mean? Well, I'm going to go in and bring up my layout explanation right here, and we can see a graphical representation of how tap versus hold works here. So we have basically three weird color boxes. Two are yellow and one's green. This middle yellow box will always be 0.01, so never mess with it. This 0.30 designates this amount of block of time on a 1 second stretch. So this light gray bar right here is 1 second. So in 0.3 seconds, we're going to cover up this amount. And 0.15 designates this little small block. And you can see I have the keybind commands designated to each block of color. So in 0.15 seconds, if we just tap the button, that's going to be this block of time, and it's going to make the computer register a 7. Beyond that, if I keep the button held down beyond 0.15 seconds, then we get into the 0.3 second realm, and it's alt 7. So if you wanted to readjust your tap versus hold times, here's an example of me switching out the values here. So instead of a 0.15, I have a 0.1 second. You notice that's a lot more narrow right here. And 0.6 will increase the time for holding. So just tweak with these values. Remember, leave the middle one alone, and you can kind of gauge what feels just the best for you. I found that the default 0.15 and 0.3 right here just work the best for me. Alright, so that's a quick explanation on that. Understanding cycles, part 12. So this will be useful for stalkers because they have 3 stances while warriors only have 2. So how do we get the stalkers to be able to toggle between 3 stances rather than just 2? We'll just bring up my Xpadder, and up on the D-pad is where my toggle lies. So I click it, and don't get too crazy here, but this is the sequence of commands or macros that create the toggle sequence. I'm not going to explain exactly how this all works. You'll see that the sequence may look familiar for those of you that looked at the hold versus tap command. This little red hand right here toggles or cycles through. So when these get completed, stop and go to these next 3. So that's basically how that works. So what the stalker is going to need to do is input these commands and follow along with me. I'll try to go slow here. I'm going to highlight the last box here. I'm going to put a new cycle stop in. And then it's going to create a third set of buttons, a third set of commands that the cycle will go to next. And basically we're just going to mimic the basic hold versus tap commands here. So I'll hit the green box at 0.3 seconds. But we'll notice that it has a asterisk, an alt asterisk. This time let's press Control and then Alt asterisk right there, or just numpad asterisk rather. Control then numpad asterisk, and then we'll do another yellow box. We'll highlight it, set it to 0.01 seconds. We'll go to the next empty box and we'll do a numpad 5, and then we'll put in one more yellow box, set it to 15 by going to the 0.1 second box and then adding 0.01 seconds to it. So it reads 0.15 seconds. Hit OK, and that's basically how cycles work in the game. So now if we go to the keybind menu and I go up to stances. Let's unbind these and we can see the difference. I hold up on the D-pad and it gives me numpad asterisk. I hold up on the D-pad again, alt numpad asterisk. I hold up on the D-pad once more and I get control numpad asterisk. And this lets us just switch through all those stances. Good for you stalkers, huh? Alright, so just follow those steps and you'll be switching stances in no time. 13. Explanation behind the keybind layout. So why did I put things the way I did? Why do I have them organized the way I do? Well, let's go through and talk about this. It's kind of like theory crafting, I guess, a little bit. Left stick is where I move my character, so I thought it was only fitting to put primary movement buttons on there, such as auto walk or toggle walk, auto run, follow, all that good stuff. That's going to move your character. And then the right stick is also kind of used for movement in that it aims your camera. So I put some secondary movements on there, such as dash. Having the dodge or dash button set on the right stick really allows you to have quick reflexes and dodge wherever you're moving your camera to. It's just naturally there for you. Holding left bumper and hitting the right stick in is good for your mount. Nice and hassle-free. It'll really encourage you to mount up anytime you really want to, rather than having to worry about clicking on the screen or going to some obscure, out-of-the-way keybind on your controller. The start button right here. Let's get rid of this real quick. Start button is kind of like the grandfather of all UI interaction stuff, right? It's the button that's always been known to bring up menus and pause the game and do things such as that. So I thought it was only fitting to make it interact and vacuum. Those are two of the main kind of UI keybinds in the whole game. So with left bumper held, I can vacuum, and if I just tap the start button, I can interact with stuff. If I hold down the back button, which goes into cursor mode, which you saw in one of the previous chapters, then the start button effectively becomes your game menu. It also becomes your cancel and close window button. So start button was kind of a given for why I've chosen those. The back button is what it is. You hold it for cursor mode, and you tap it to recenter your cursor. So for instance, you're in UI mode right here. If you release the back button, your cursor goes right above your character's head. So the next time you need to use your menu systems, you're going to know where your cursor's at. Alright? Great. Anytime that you find yourself within walking mode and you need to go and start using the mouse again, simply just right click on your mouse and it'll bring back your mouse cursor. So that takes care of backs and starts and all that stuff. Let's talk about our face buttons right here. Since face buttons are primarily used for attacks in most action games, I thought it was only fitting to make them the main action slots within the game. Since this is also a movement-heavy game, where you're going to be moving and positioning and trying to aim your shots a lot, I thought it was only fitting that the triggers be used for your two most used attacks. That way you can run and gun, move your camera, and still spam your most damaging or energy-building attacks right here. Jump has always been the A button in every action game I've ever played, so that's just something that makes it feel right at home. Sprint at your right button frees up, like I said earlier in the movement section, it really frees up your thumbs to run forward or backwards, to dodge, to move the camera. So sprint as the right bumper is why I found to be the most comfortable and useful area to put the sprint button. Left bumper is, or gumper, I guess that's the left gumper now, is used for modifier buttons. So anytime you want to add more functionality to a button, all you gotta do is hold the left bumper, and there we have the X button. I like to use left modifiers such as control, or left bumper modifier, to make it control. I don't really trust switching between different sets within Xpadder. It's been a known bug. You can go on the forum and read about all the people having trouble with it. There's fixes and there's workarounds, but I just say make it as simple as possible, man. Just make your left bumper control modifiers. All MMOs pick up on control or alt button modifiers, so why not just build it into the Xpadder profile? The triggers also allow you to target things. I like to make my triggers targeting, that way I don't have to reach down and hit my D-pad. I can target things on the run, and as soon as I target it, I can just attack it instantly, because my finger's already right there on the targeting button, right, since it's the right trigger. D-pad is a really utilitarian type of part of the controller. It controls secondary actions, it controls team targeting, it controls your extra action slots down here. So it's really just kind of the, well, what are the buttons that I want to use that I don't have to use all the time. So why did I map those buttons like I did? So let's bring up my legend right here. Why did I map the certain secondary actions to my D-pad like I did? Well, gadgetability set up was something that you might want to use in a PvP situation that might save your butt. Maybe it's like a quick buff to your speed or a quick boost to your damage. So having it in a quick area on your D-pad just by toggling it up is nice. Objective abilities and path actions, you'll find those quite often as you quest and adventure. So since they're kind of similar, objective and path abilities, they're both kind of objective-based situational item uses within your quest log. I set those to left and right on the D-pad. And using a potion needs to have fast access, but you need to have it farther enough away so you don't accidentally use it if you accidentally like freak out on yourself. So I set it on the D-pad down to kind of get it away from your left thumb as quick as possible, or as far as possible. Cycling stances isn't something you'll be doing very often, so I set it to hold down on the D-pad up. Same thing for scan bots and path action 2. Like I said, path action 1 and 2 are necessary because you may have 2 path quests that have 2 different item toggles that you may need to use. So I left path action in there, path action 2 in there for you. And path ability is an ability with a very, very long cooldown. So this, again, I consider down on the D-pad to be one of the farthest keybinds on the controller from your thumb. So I just set that to hold down on the D-pad for a few seconds, and you can cast your path ability. Again, and targeting on your teammates, let's look at how I kind of keep all that straight in my head. You'll notice in the bottom 2 left corners of the explanation image I have up here, this is kind of what I visually imagine in my head when I'm looking at my controller as they correspond to a horizontal action slot. You can see that my X is first, it goes up to Y as the second slot, and it goes down to 3 as my third slot. So it kind of creates a triangle effect here. Now my D-pad is a little bit more hard to wrap around to understand. Up is always first, and it zigs down to the second one on the slot, which is left. Then it goes to the right as 3 on the slot, and down as 4th slot right there. So it kind of creates this lightning bolt looking pattern in my head. And those are just some ways I remember basically what's going on my D-pad and how they correspond to either my party member numbers or basically abilities on my hotbar that I may have adjusted to or set to D-pad. Alright, so those are some of the reasons why I chose the layout like I did. Troubleshooting. So, you may have troubles getting this all set up. I mean, that's just a given. Murphy's Law, right? Something's going to go wrong. It's computers. I'll try to be as helpful as I can, but I'm not going to technically be some guy that's going to help you troubleshoot driver issues, or I can't key in that, or your tutorial's wrong, it's not working for me. One thing to keep in note is to have the correct version of Xpadder, because it will not work with version 5.7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct us all to a nice little area. You can find the links inside the video you're watching. We'll go to Xpadder Troubleshooting Forum. And any problem you've probably already had or have will probably already have been talked about in this section. I encourage you to go here first to read up on maybe problems somebody's had before you either ask me or make your own post on this forum. If it gets really weird, you can find the correct topic and say, my Xpadder can't find my controller. If none of these threads have the answer you're looking for, then by all means, post a new topic. Alright. I also want to let you know, if we go back home, let's go to my downloader page on Xpadder. It takes you to the downloader forum on the website. If you have version 5.7, it's 4 years old. A lot of people have this one because it's making the rounds on all the torrenting websites. It's not going to work. There's been too many functions added to the program. I'm personally using the latest version 2014-0101, and unless a huge new redesign and Xpadder comes along, my profile and my Xpadder setup should work on any versions that come out. I think I started out, I pretty much used every version of Xpadder, and once I got about to around here, I was using some of the more advanced mouse looks and cursor mode functions here. So keep those things in mind. Use the forums for help, and there's all kinds of different things. You can find game profiles, theme images, controller images, everything you want to find, every resource. Just please visit the Xpadder forum first. Alright, so that kind of does it for my tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my voice for almost an hour. If you have any questions, comments, critiques, suggestions, need to talk about life in general, well, that last one, you can go to a bar for that. But just leave it in the comments, and I hope everybody came and found what they were looking for in this video. Thanks for watching.